I've seen this rather persistent debate appear again, and as far as the big Sea of Thieves channels go, no one has been brave enough to truly tackle the debate in depth. But lucky for us, I'm insane enough to make a video about it. I'm going to talk about the main points, rhetoric, and how both camps are wrong. Yes, they're both wrong, and I have seen very few people actually be right in this debate. So, without further ado, should PvE servers be added to Sea of Thieves? Obviously, I will not be using exact examples of the rhetoric of this debate to try and keep it as inflammatory as possible. I'm going to be blunt. Sinking people and stealing their loot is not toxic. There is a scale of toxicity for Sea of Thieves, and this would be about as toxic as water. It doesn't matter if you're new, a veteran, have loot, don't have loot, are an emissary or not. Sinking people is not toxic, it's part of the game. Some people just like the PvP aspect of the game. And it's true, some people get their kicks from sinking solo sloopers. It happens. It's happened to me, where a bunch of try-harding double gunners chase me for no reason because it makes them feel superior. It doesn't make me like PvP less, because Rare have said they will never balance the game towards solo players. Which is true. Nothing is really balanced for solo play, even the PvE, as all enemies are much easier to defeat with a crew. The core debate surrounds whether PvE servers should be added to the game, and I firmly believe this will ruin the intricate balance that Rare has crafted. The game is not designed with PvE and PvP as isolated concepts. Both are essentials to this game's core design and working cooperation with each other. But with that being said, I also do see the appeal of having PvE only servers. There have been many times where I and many other players just want to set sail, get some gold and rep and not be bothered. For example, on the last day of the Golden Glory weekend, me and my girlfriend were playing trying to get her merchant to 50, meaning she'll be Pirate Legend. The first server we loaded into had a Reaper Galleon. Great. We decided to try anyway, to which they proceeded to chase us. I managed to delay them multiple times and they gave up because they couldn't catch us. We hopped server anyway, then halfway through our voyage, a level 5 Reaper Galleon merged into our server when we were near Wanderer's Refuge and they were at the hideout. Of course, they managed to chase us relentlessly. I managed to almost sink them with a Fort Tower play twice, with it ending with a Mega Kick play which finally finished it off. All I wanted to do is just get some rep, and due to that, we didn't get the rep that we needed to get her to Pirate Legend. It was really annoying and typical, but we discussed it afterwards, and this made the loot that we did earn so much sweeter. The guys on the Galleon were great sports too, and the experience was quite fun, albeit a bit stressful. Now, would it have been easy if there was no one to bother us? Yeah, it would be. But we both agreed that the thrill is what makes this game, the idea that you're never safe. A lot of the arguments I see on both sides are really nonsensical and go against Sea of Thieves' core design values. PvP does indeed need PvE to be lucrative. I've heard the wolf and sheep argument many times. Simply put, there are two groups of players in Sea of Thieves, the prey and the predator. Without PvE players to generate loot, PvP would have no reward, unless it was Reapers fighting each other for flags. If the PvP players only played on mixed servers, then there would be no loot being generated. Put it this way, if I wanted to smash my commendations and earn loads of gold on the PvE server, then why would I ever play on hard mode? The PvE in this game isn't the most engaging, and there's not a lot of threats, and there's no real challenge, at least in my opinion. Alternatively, Arena is really uninteresting. The matches are too long, they're unfocused, and the competition is pretty low, considering that most of the time it's just two crews battling for the win, and the other people seem to have no thumbs. If players want to sail and have fun, all the best to you, and I don't blame you. Some players are naturally more aggressive than others, which is how they choose to play the game. However, just as much as people get goaded for running, no one is obliged to engage, even Reapers, especially as running is a really effective tactic. If someone chooses to run, chase them, but don't get frustrated, it's how they want the engagement to go. Alternatively, if players want to chase you, they are allowed, as it's their right. If you complain that people run all the time, that's fair game. It's clearly a better strategy than fighting you, because you can sell a little bit of loot each time you go past an outpost. It is your right as a player, PvP and PvE, to play the game how you want. No one else can tell you how to play. Another common debate is that some PvE players run to the Red Sea out of spite towards their pursuers because their fun is ruined, and I guess you can say the same. If you do that with a loot, you're ruining the other player's fun too. I think I would go as far as saying that is toxic, because someone could beat you fair and square and you just want to be a sore loser about it. You might as well let them have it, as long as they're sporting and don't spew slurs and insults at you. On the other hand, another really good argument for PvE servers is the skill gap. The tutorials, maiden voyages, etc. do not prepare players, and there is a huge discrepancy from a brand new player and a day one veteran. It's not fun to play a game where you're trying to learn and get dumpstered without knowing what happened. I would say I'm more comfortable with PvP than most, and that's because I've been playing since alpha, so my experience with the game sort of skews my perception on this debate. I can see why, if every fight is really difficult, PvP is just really frustrating. The game just doesn't prepare you for PvP. Only experience will, or watching the likes of Fuzzy Bond or Blurbs, because they have way more to offer than the in-game tutorials, which is unfair on new players in my opinion. This is a big problem with engagements. Do you commit and fight and finish it to the end, or do you stop and help the new player? Another big issue is that if you're attacked and win, the defender is badly disadvantaged, because the loser can come back time and time again, rewarding bad players with infinite chances until the loot holders run out of supplies. I've seen a number of people suggest that after a certain number of sinks, players should be forced to merge, and I actually agree. I've slapped a ship 3 times before and they just keep coming back, and we're punished for winning. Server alliances are another good debate in the community, and in my opinion I have no problem with this at all. If people want to take over servers and make the game really easy, by all means do it. You can max out everything and all the good cosmetics without any real threat, and that's fine. They're cosmetics and numbers on a screen. But as a warning, if you ever have to play on regular servers, the game will be that much more difficult, because you have no real experience with the game. If someone infiltrates your server alliance and ruins it, that is also fine, because it's how they want to play the game. Despite being a really simple game, Sea of Thieves has a really intricate design philosophy, and the core is PvPvE. Both need each other to make this game so special. As I said before, without PvP, the game would be simple and quite uninteresting, at least with a lack of variety of the AI encounters. There would have to be massive design changes, perk progression, more threats, and story elements to flesh out the world. Conversely, without PvE, PvP would be dead. Look at Arena. There'll be no incentive to fight each other other than just for fun, and the seas will be so empty, lifeless, and stagnant. The content, as cliche as it sounds, is made by player encounters. The best stories don't come from beating the Fort of the Damned 5 times in a row with 5 galleons. They come from beating the Fort of the Damned, then evading 2 Reapers to sell your loot without getting caught. No one brags about killing the Kraken or the Shrouded Ghost, well, because that one doesn't fucking exist. It's no wonder why the most popular videos from the likes of Happy Feet, Hitboat, etc. are all crazy PvP steals, along with tutorials for PvP. On the other hand, there are also loads of cool videos where the AI interfere, like the Kraken, and sway the course of a fight. One of the best examples of Sea of Thieves catering to both sides dates way back to when the game was still in development. The team would have envisioned this world where the other pirates are your biggest threat, so when someone digs up a chest and opens it for gold instantly, there's no risk. Then, someone would have come up with the idea to have a physical chest that needs to be returned for the reward. In short, your loot isn't yours until you've turned it in. The same goes for most world events. They're always really visible, they're meant to last for a while to encourage PvP and fighting over the loot. And I will say they have changed approaches to certain aspects of the game, like adding more voyages and PvE threats. Increasing the ways you can get loot was done to make PvE more lucrative and more enjoyable. See, originally we only had 3 voyage types, the rare random trinket and the fort to get loot. The fort was designed to be rewarding and more risky, and players would fight for hours over it. The introduction of things like emissaries have made these events less prominent and have actually been encouraging more PvE. So, what did Rare do to counter this? They added the Reapers to offset that, by encouraging risk versus reward. It's a way to cater to all players, and they've gone on record saying PvE servers with progression won't be a thing, only private servers with no progression. Looking back on all the named updates, there have been very few that cater just to one element of the game. I think Hungering Deep was the last pure PvE focused update, and the Cursed Cruise Build Rat Adventure was one of the only PvP focused updates. Cursed Sails was aimed at both, Forsaken Shores was aimed at both, Shrouded Spoils was aimed at both, Anniversary for both. Essentially all the updates apart from a handful have been made to please both camps in this argument, even more proof the game is designed to be PvPvE. And the biggest design element of Sea of Thieves is that almost everything is designed to elicit an emotional response out of you, good or bad. Memories are based off emotions, so the best and worst memories are always the most emotionally charged. You can see this in a picture posted by Joe Neat reminiscing about the early stages of development, and one of the post-it notes says finding a chest and getting murdered. Negative emotions are absolutely a part of this game. Along with this, interactions with other players in a shared world is a key objective to the game's design. Be it good or bad, these interactions are a core aspect of the game, and the shared world aspect sort of negates the idea that PvE only servers are included in this. And we haven't really had an incentive to be friendly since the Hungering Deep. This was a big criticism of the Hungering Deep and other similar events that you need multiple crews to do them. If Rare chose to add an event into the game that was both lucrative and challenging, requiring 2 or more crews to work together and not betray each other, I would really love that. If it was permanent and had new mechanics also. I would welcome PvE servers if firstly we had a more diverse PvE focus with more AI, more voyages and a different progression system, and that PvE servers would have rep and gold reduced to 10%. If you're taking away all the risk, then the reward would have to be significantly reduced. That way, there will still be a large amount of the player base that would still risk the normal servers. I think that's a fair compromise. On that note, development would now have to shift to accommodate those who want PvE only, which would not only split the player base, but the update schedule too. What is that old saying? if you try to keep everyone happy, no one is happy? In conclusion, there is no correct debate when it comes to who is right in the PvP or PvE debate, but the game thrives with both of the elements being present in the game. I'm sure the debate over whether PvE servers should come to the game will rage on, but please be courteous to each other when discussing it, because I see a lot of shit being flung by both sides. Play the game how you want and no one else can tell you how to play. Alternatively, don't get upset when someone sinks you in a pirate game. Also, try to be kinder to one another on the seas. I'm sure we can all benefit from doing that more because there's no need to be hostile. And for the love of God, stop hurling abuse at each other. A little bit of banter is fine, but don't take it too far and don't be vitriolic. Sea of Thieves thrives because of the PvPvE nature of the game and would surely fade into the grey if this balance is not respected. This is just my opinion and I feel like I've been very reasonable throughout this video, but I'm sure some of you will be wildly unreasonable in the comments. So I look forward to that. There we go. That's my opinion on the recurring debate. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have made it this far, consider dropping a like and subscribing. I want to make it to Sea of Thieves partner and I need your help to do so. So watch out for more videos coming from me. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.